says, but am I live in the vocal regions of the area? There, 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 there. You know what time it is, folks. That's right. It's time for more in the hot box with Doc Rio, and today we're going to talk about keeping a PMA. What's the PMA? We'll talk about more about that in just a moment. But if you are checking out this broadcast for the first time, make sure you go ahead and click the follow button right down below. You can click that follow button real easy. Just push click, 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 follow. And if you are watching this on this rebroadcast on YouTube, then you can go ahead and click that subscribe button. And don't forget to click that little bell for future notifications. I'm just trying to remind you so that if you want to follow more, you like what you hear, you want to hear more from Doc Rio TV, you want to hear more from me being in the hot box when future episodes come, when future shows become more into the hot box forum that I'm putting together with other producers. When future things come out there, you'll be the first one notified when it hits, especially if it's anything on Mixer. You'll be first notified as soon as we broadcast. So stay tuned. We'll be right back talking about keeping a PMA. Actually, this is called Keep a PMA. So we'll talk more about that in just a second. Real quick, folks. We'll be right back. Look at us up on Doc Rio TV. Oh, I'm back. So today we're talking about keeping a PMA, and my phone was on, and the volume was on, so sorry about that, folks. But yeah, we're talking about keeping a PMA. What is that all about? What is a PMA? I mean, that's what I really got to get into first. I mean, some of you all have probably heard of PMA, which stands for positive mental attitude. And when we talk about positive mental attitude, that's something that makes you, gets a little pep in your step. Having a PMA kind of helps you through your day. When you have a PMA, it really changes the world around you. The things that happen around you are totally different. Like, have you ever heard when somebody says, hey, if you smile at somebody, you start to brighten other people's world. When you start to brighten other people's world with a smile, all of a sudden the world brightens up around you. It's like reciprocal. It's so interesting, and it's something in psychology that I don't want to talk about more because I don't have the studies in front of me, but it's something about psychologically about us having a good attitude and keeping a good attitude around the people that we are having or around with, that makes us so much better at whatever we want to do. And when we talk about, attempting to do stuff for multimedia, attempting to prepare stuff, you're in a world where especially you might feel like an entrepreneur no matter what you do, because a lot of people will be against you, especially when it comes to, industries like multimedia, film, television, gaming, those industries, those artistic industries. You get a lot of pressure from people that are saying, you need to go out and get a real job. You need to go out and do this. You need to go out and do that. The fact of the matter is you can find realness, or you can find excellence. I want to say excellence because that's what I'm calling it, in doing what you do and having a positive mental attitude about what you do. I know a lot of people who come out here to Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles, so I can't, like some of these people, go home if I fail. If I fail, I just got to keep trying until I succeed. So a lot of people come out to Los Angeles and they're like, yeah, I'm going to come out to LA and I'm going to be a Hollywood to be a star. Yeah. Yes, this is my place. I'm going to Hollywood to be a star. Yeah. I've seen it a lot of times. I've seen it constantly. People come out here thinking that you can just get into this industry and jump in. Now, it's a possibility. It takes a lot of luck to just come out and jump in. But as you hear from most people who've gotten into music, into television, into film, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. It takes at least 5 to 8 years to become an overnight success. So that means you have been doing something somewhere, getting out, being known somewhere, putting your face out here, making product here, putting out intellectual property, pitching to the right people here, talking to the right people here, getting money from the right people, and showing that you can actually return that money to the right people over here. Being seen on screens, being seen on the streets by people, being in the community somehow, some way, some shape or form, which causes that nepotism for you to be able to become a star. All right. You got to know people. It is who you know. Anybody saying it's not who you know is lying to you. You can have talent out the yin yang, but if you don't know somebody that's going to help you motivate you to get that talent out there, or motivate you to use that talent in the right realm, you don't really go anywhere, and you sit in that 9 to 5 in that cubicle, and you wonder why you did that. You wonder why you're still sitting in that cubicle with all that creativity. You know, it was a long time before I went back to a regular job, and I didn't even know what that was. I'm still learning what it means to work for a regular company, you know, because I have a entrepreneur mentality. That means you get up and you make it happen even when you can't make it happen, you know? And so there are a lot of things that happen in my life because of my positive mental attitude. That PMA, that positive mental attitude, is just something that helps me find meaning when I can't find meaning anymore. When there's no meaning, when all the chips are down, I'm still finding meaning in what I do, and finding meaning has to do with the secret to PMA. And so what's that secret, you might ask? The secret to PMA, well, it has to do with passion. You have to be passionate enough about what you do to persevere through anything, through every storm, through weather, everything that you can get through. You see what I mean? That secret to always having that positive mental attitude makes you do things that you wouldn't even believe that you would do. And the reason why I say that is because it has to do with this article that I was reading in Elite Daily. And I call this the truth about passion. The truth about passion is that passionate people do certain things. I repeat, passionate people do certain things. There are certain things that passionate people do, and you'll always notice this when you watch passionate people. You'll always notice this because it becomes a part of their lifestyle. It becomes a part of their being. It becomes a part of our being. It becomes a part of our existence. You'll notice that we do these things in a whole nother light. And this article that I want to read you is by Paul Hudson. It's on this website called elitedaily.com. And I just pulled some information from it, but I was reading it because I was looking for something that actually talked about exactly what I wanted to talk about. And this article says 10 things that truly passionate people do differently. These are 10 things that they do, that we do differently. And I'm going to say we do because I agree with all these. I do all these things. And there's not exactly, I want to say it's not always the best that I do some of these things. Some of these things are probably best left undone. But because I do them, I think it's better that I do know that I do them and know that I can work around them. Being forewarned of shadowy parts of your strengths can allow you to use your shadow with your strength. And I call that back because, I like to talk about strength finding. I like to talk about, what it takes to be able to use your strengths properly. We all have strengths, and we tend to let our strengths lay on the wayside. We tend to let those strengths sit back because they're part of our artistic being. They're part of our creativity. They're not part of our what it takes to make money. You know what I mean? And if it's all that you do is to be creative to make money, it's challenging to figure out ways to make that money. And I'm not just talking about sitting out there research. This is another part of the lesson series that I'm talking about. You got to keep a PMA. And how do you keep a PMA? People ask me this all the time. I go around cities and places all the time, and people say, you always got a smile on your face. You're always happy. You always got the spirit. Man, I won the Spirit Award at USU, at California State University's University Student Union as an employee. I won the Spirit Award mainly because 90% of the time, I want to say 90 because sometimes I get into another state. Now, I'll show you that state later. I'll talk about that later in this. But keeping a PMA sometimes causes me to get into situations and get into places that most people won't because I have a positive mental attitude, because I believe that it can be done. because I believe that things can happen, because I believe change is possible and inevitable. And if I'm the one making the change, then I believe it can be done. If I'm a part of the change, then I believe it can be done. If I'm together with a team of people, which is a part of the change, but if I'm together with a team of people, we all making change, I believe it can be done, because it just can be, because things happen that way. And so I looked at why I ended up getting this award and why I was able to be there. And it was mostly because I kept a good, positive mental attitude, and I did what was necessary to help others maintain that attitude and shared it. I shared it with others. And while they shared it back to me, and we were always connected. And so a lot of other people who were keeping their PMA, doing their finding meaning in their ability to I want to say cultivate meaning in their workplace, to figure out their next level. They looked around, they saw me with a positive mental attitude, and their positive mental attitude shined even more. Because it's not just me at this. When you talk about keeping a PMA, it's the people around you, it's the people you see. If you keep yourself locked up in a room all day and you don't do anything else and you don't see people, I've done that. You stand still. And when you stand still, you're not allowed, you're not capable of expressing that energy that you have bottled up inside. You're not allowed to share that with other people who feel the same way. And when you share that energy with other people, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, somebody else is going to feel some of that. And somebody else is going to relate. Some people aren't going to relate. Some people are going to share exactly the same experiences with you. And when you realize that other people share the same experiences that you do, when you realize that other people share the exact same experiences that you do, you realize how much stronger you really are. A lot of people find weakness in their loneliness. Don't be weak in your loneliness. Grow out there and use PMA to get you to the next level, to get you to the next state of mind, to get you to the next state of being. So let's talk about some of the things that people do differently. Now, 10 things that truly passionate people do differently. All right. Now, this one's a good one. Start their days early. Now, I noticed that, when I'm really, really, really passionate about something, it doesn't matter how early I have to be there. When I'm really passionate, I'm up. I'm up early in the morning. I'm up early in the morning anyway. My days start early in the morning anyway, but sometimes my energy is not the greatest early in the morning. So I need that early in the morning time to prepare myself in a lot of cases for the rest of the day. And I'll give you more about that. I don't like going out in public if I don't have a positive mental attitude. It's something about that to me, saying that I'm going out there with this angry attitude, I'm going to have a bad day. And when I go out there with a negative attitude, I tend to have a bad day. I try so hard in a lot of situations. I fight a lot of things in my life. I fight a lot of negativity. I fight a lot of negativity in my life, not just from myself, but from people outside. There's so much negativity that impounds upon my shoulders, especially being an entrepreneur. And when you are passionate about something, you'll find that there are a lot of forces that fight against you, and they fight against you to keep you down and keep you down to the ground. So if you're able to get a good night's sleep and get up early, you're able to clear some of that stuff out of your head and get on the road to success faster. The early bird catches the worm. Why? Because the early bird has a clearer head. The early bird is up, already ready before the worm gets up. The worm gets up and his head is not clear. It's just trying to crawl out of the ground because the sun's coming up. It doesn't pay attention to what's around them. And the bird's already been waiting for that worm to come out of the ground. So when you're already up, you're already prepared. Your body, your mind, your soul is already in a position to get you on the road to success before you get on the road to success. Hey, evening. No, I'm not a real doctor, Marky boy. I do hold a doctorate of divinity, but I'm not a PhD carrying doctor. My doctorate of divinity is a DD. Hopefully in the next 6-7 years, I will have my PhD. But I'm not also a medical doctor either. So, and I will not be getting a PhD in medical. My PhD will be in communication. And possibly communication management, if that becomes a course soon. in the school that I'm attempting to go to. Now, but thanks for the question. I appreciate the question, Marky Boy. It's definitely good to get questions out there. If you have any more questions, make sure you drop them in. I'll definitely answer them in the middle of the broadcast. It doesn't matter. I will stop whatever I'm saying and make sure I see those. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I don't attribute it to me being talented in any way. I attribute it to study and research and practice. Those are the things that make us good at anything. The more we study something, the more we practice something, the more we can research it, and it makes it better for us in our future. And if we're passionate about something, we tend to do the research what it takes. Basically you're answering the next statement. Because I'm passionate about this, I always have this on my mind. I don't just start my day early. The first thing that I would do, one of the 10 things that it says that Paul Hudson says in his article, is that they start their days early. But number 2 is that we always have passion on our minds. I always have my passion on my mind. I mean, if you were to look around this little laboratory here, I got computers over here, computers over there, computers over there. I got a TV screens pointing this way. I got lights pointing this way. But this is the middle of my room. And a lot of people ask me, well, how come your mic sounds so good? It's not just the mic I'm using, it's positioning. If you were to look over this way, which is to camera left, if you were to look over at the camera left, which would be your left as well. That's why we say camera left, is so it's on your side. You would see windows. Windows are hard to keep your sound going good in. So I have a dynamic microphone in the middle of the room so that the windows give me a better sound, hopefully a better sound to my live audience. But I've noticed on my recordings, I do have a better sound. And it also keeps it away from anything else. Most of the electrical stuff that's vibrating, the electrical sounds that would also cause my mixer, because I have this dynamic microphone connected to a mixer, because it's an XLR cable. As you can see here, it's the thicker cable. And it's on a microphone stand that allows me to move it around with less noise. You're barely hearing anything when I move that microphone around. Plus, I have it connected to a effects mixer that allows me to add special effects to it, but also allows me to flatten it out and make sure that I'm getting a totally complete flat sound. So you're getting more of a radio voice. And that's good that you're always up too, Marky Boy. I mean, you got to get up early. If you're not up early, you're missing out on some of the things that happen in our lifestyle. Some of the stuff that happens in the world happens early in the morning, and basically the best news you can get. If you want to check out news and want to know what's going on in the world, the best news you can get is 10 p.m. at night and early in the morning. Because if you're in the United States, most of the stuff that's happening around the world is happening throughout that time period, and we're getting up and starting our day through that same time period. So you're getting not only from the news from the night, from all around the world from the night before, but you're also in tune with the news for the day. And you're able to get, hey, there it is, 5 a.m., O dark 100, as we say in the military. Some of us do 4:30, we call it O dark 30, but 500, that's when we're supposed to be up out of bed, doing our stuff, getting our mind situated before the sun comes up. Because when the sun comes up, that's when the motion starts. That's when all the commotion starts and people don't pay attention to the stuff around us. And so if we're up early in the morning, by the time the commotion starts at 8 a.m., or 6 to 8 a.m., yeah, I'm in the U.S. By the time the commotion starts in your time at 6 to 8 a.m., your mind is already focused on your passion. My mind is already thinking about what I need to get done. How can I get it done? I might not even be all the way up. I might be in some night clothes, chilling on my couch or whatever, laying back on my couch, but thinking about what I need to get done for the day. I appreciate that. Thank you, Marky Boy. I appreciate that. And another part of that is getting excited. For those who don't know out there, Marky Boy said, that reminds me, I got to remember for the podcast and for those out there listening to the radio, Marky Boy asked me if I was in the U.S. and he also thanked me for my service. And we do, as veterans, we do appreciate that. A lot of times it's difficult for us to take in when we hear it, but we do really appreciate that people do care to mention to us that we are thanked for our time out there, because sometimes we do come back and we don't get the impression that we did good for our country, serving our country. And that's hard to take when you think that you're doing something good for your country. Sometimes you find out what you
I need a corporal. You're it until you're dead, or till I find somebody
I appreciate
better.
the follow, Marky Boy. I appreciate the follow. That's what that sound was, folks out there. If you want to know, I love the Roughnecks, but we do appreciate our folks who come back at us and give us props and touch base with us. And Marky Boy, I do appreciate the follow. The reason why it's the Roughnecks is because I love Starship Troopers. I love Star Wars, Star Trek, and Starship Troopers. So you might be seeing a combination of all three within my broadcast as it evolves and as I build the computer. As you see, I got a power supply and I got some other stuff for it, that I'm putting together. I'm building a computer for streaming specifically. And so as my stream takes toll and as we add new shows onto it, like I said, I'm always thinking, you can see around me, I'm always thinking the books are part of my stream, because a lot of times I'm reading books. This time I'm coming from an article, the elitedaily.com 10 things that truly passionate people do differently by Paul Hudson. He did it April 9th, 2014, but it's for me, he asked, what time is it for me, sir? For me, it is, I had to say it's about 1:23. I was going to say it was 1:30, but it's about 1:23 p.m. And, I guess it's 23 p.m. Where are you located? Where are you located, Marky Boy? We do, like I said, we have that passion on our minds. And not only that, I get excited all the time. People notice all the time that I get excited about what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to put out there. And that's number 3. Paul Hudson said that we get excited more than the average person. Why? Because we can see the things we're passionate about coming into existence. We get excited because we're constantly making our passions come to fruition. I've seen people who like to draw and do artistry, and they end up working for like places like Disney, and they end up drawing, and they're really passionate when they first start. Not saying they don't stay passionate, but they're really passionate when they first start because they're able to create and animate for a company that they never dreamed that they can be a part of. Of course, through time, our wants and desires change. 9:23. Oh, 9:23 p.m. Oh, wow. You're in the UK. Yeah. All right. 9:20. I was like 9:23 p.m. And then I had to do the calculation. But that'd be about right. That'd be about, what part of the UK? What part of the UK are you hailing from, Marky Boy? Yeah. And so we may get excited a lot more than most people, but also you got to watch out, because part of getting excited more than most people is that there's a pendulum to that. When we get excited and we have this passion about something, it's easy for that pendulum to swing on the opposite direction. And number 4, we get pissed off or emotional more than the average person. That's that part I was telling you, that when you find stars out there, people think that stars don't have insecurities, but most stars that you will ever see, most people who may be popular, I don't want to say popular in chat, who may be in the limelight, who may be professionals in the industry or whatever, you may see stars, musicians, high class musicians, anything. If we want to even talk about the Kardashians, their level, even Kanye West, his level of insecurity is way beyond anything you can even imagine at the point of your life, until you start being that popular in whatever community you're in. Because that insecurity grows the more popularity you gain. Now, those who can fight through their insecurity become more and more successful. Those who can't end up twisting and turning their lifestyles and either getting on a bad path in their life or losing it mentally. Anybody can lose it mentally. It's a fine line between genius and insanity. And when you get in those realms of creativity where you have that much energy, you get to the levels of being genius, because you get to work on your craft more and more and more. Marky says, East Coast, I'm right next to the second largest military base owned by the U.S. Ooh, second largest military base owned by the U.S. Ooh, wow. That's a good question. What is the second largest military base? What would be, you would think I would know that. as you get old, you do forget things too. But now you got me wanting to research that one. I'm gonna have to come back on the research on that one. See, I like to research when I actually can pay attention to the research I'm doing. It's a little bit difficult delivering a stream and a message, that I'm also delivering to. Oh, Milden Hall? I've heard of Milden Hall. Never been there though. That would be interesting to check out though. That would be interesting to check out. Yeah. What do you think about the, I want to say the ambiance there, or how the energy of those who are in the military there? What kind of energy do they put off? Do they put off a more proud energy, a more strong, proud, we can do it energy? Or do they put off a dreary energy because the weather's so not so great all the time? And I have to say that because in California we have sunny weather all the time. It's easy to be bright and cheery in an area when it's sunny all the time, but when it's overcast, it's not so easy to be bright and cheery all the time. And so that actually goes to what I'm saying as well. Part of me knowing, for me, the best part of me being in this industry is I know that majority of my industry is done in Southern California. Now you can do it all over the world, but Southern California has that year-round type of mentality. So I get less pissed off, more pissed off because I don't get enough sleep sometimes for not taking care of myself, from being so passionate about what I'm doing, and not taking care of that enough to get enough rest to be strong enough the next day to make it through some days, sometimes. But that's part of number 5, willing to risk more and put more on the line. Yes, a lot of times I'm willing to risk more, whether it be risk more money, risk more physical capabilities, lack of sleep. I risk sometimes more for my dreams because I can see them building to fruition that even other people might not be able to see. And so that happens to get in the way of our ability to grow as fast. So we have to pay attention to a balance of being able to be excited, being able to risk at the right time, and being able to devote our lives to our dreams at the same thing, which is number 6. Being able to devote your lives to your dreams and be able to risk what you're doing while devoting your life to your dream, while being excited and maintaining a PMA is challenging. So Marky says, I respect them and show this base that is active 24/7. Very, very busy, but it's so big. Yeah. Big bases tend to be like a well-oiled machine. That's something we pull from the military, and you see it operating like everybody knows what they have to do because everybody's already on a system. Everybody has their orders generally for the day, and everything just works out. The process is busy bees. If units are not deployed and they have vehicles, every day is a Monday through Friday is a motor pool day. Most people spend more time making sure their vehicles are ready for deployment, making sure their weapons are ready for deployment, making sure the uniforms are up to par, making sure they're trained enough, exercise in the morning. And these are things that, we talk about in the military. You got to get up early in the morning, do some exercise, get your mind ready before you go out there and work on that vehicle at 8 a.m. You don't even eat breakfast before you go out there and do exercise. You go out there and you get your mind and body in tune with each other. That's why physical PT is so important in the military, because your mind and body is now in tune with each other. And now when you go out and work for the day, you're more capable of doing things in the right intonation with where you're supposed to do them. And I think it's important to understand we move throughout our day in a rhythm, and this intonation is a music word. People look at me funny when I say intonation. I started in music. So when you talk about intonation, you talk about being in tune, and being in tune has to do with vibrating at a certain rhythm. Now, I know some of us, I like to go out throughout the day. I use my beat solo, and I like to go out throughout the day, and I like to hear music when I'm doing stuff. And I get a rhythm and I get a groove. A lot of people like to hear their music because it keeps them in a certain bounce and a certain mode. And we all bounce to our own groove. We all step to our own rhythm. Some of us have rhythms that are fast paced. Some of us have rhythms that are slow paced. Some of us have rhythms that are no pace. Some of us have rhythms that are ultra fast paced. Some of those have rhythms that are moderato, you know. And when I talk about moderato, I talk about a term in music. And so when we talk about intonation, we all vibrate at different levels. And so for us to be in tune with ourselves and in tune with our own rhythm, we have to vibrate at our own rhythm. We have to kind of be at our own pace. You know, those good days you walk out the door and you're just hearing that right song that just, wow, I'm having a good day. And the sun is shining right. The day is right. The music is right. And you're just feeling really good because not only the music is in tune, the day is in tune, and you are in tune with the day. The intonation is right on point. And when you have that intonation, thank you. I appreciate that. He said, much top respect to them guys. I do. I appreciate that you have much respect to the military guys around you. And I think it's important to have that kind of respect. When you vibrate well and you walk well and your day is well, most guys in the military walk around. We don't walk around with our heads down. We walk around with our heads straight out forward and our chest. That morning we worked out, and physical ability of our body is it pushes our chest out once we worked out for that morning. So we have no choice but to have our chest poked out and our head up high because we worked out in a fashion that pushes our body to that point that is kind of swole throughout the day. And it stays that way. Your legs stay kind of strong. So you walk strong, you talk strong, you do things at a different rate, and you vibrate at a different rate that's more in tune with the way our body is supposed to vibrate. And I say that because our body has evolved. Those who may not believe in creation, who believe more in religious aspects, I believe even then, if you believe more in religious aspects from a doctor of divinity standpoint, then you have to understand, we have to understand that to God, 7 days, maybe 7,000 years, maybe 7 million years. So 7 days for God to create earth, the way to get to the creation of man may be the evolution of man that we may be talking about in creation. And they may actually align together in one same unity. So I want to say that, yes, we evolved from creatures that walked. We were quadruphiles, and we became. I don't want to say. I forgot the term for it, but it has to do with being able to walk on 2 feet. And I don't want to mix up and say the wrong term because you could easily say a term that I don't want to mention right now on Teen Chat. So just to be wise, because I almost slipped and said the wrong term, because I should look that up because I'm not really a doctor of anatomy, and I should know a little bit more about anatomy because I actually love anatomy. I didn't think I would. I took the class and I really enjoy it. But we walked on all fours and now we walk on 2 legs. At some point, our physicalities of our ancestors, I want to say ancestors before we were human beings, before that time when God said Adam was in the Garden of Eden, I believe the formation of God in that sense evolved by him forming or her forming or them forming other beings to figure out how to make man. You know, not that God is omnipotent. God is an artist in God's own right. And God created this universe that is so much more grander than us that we couldn't even understand a minuscule of it at this point in time. We can't even understand our own solar system. So if we look at it from a grander scale, we have to look at the fact that we are just a dot in a sweet spot. And if we are the only dot in that sweet spot, if that was God's will and that is the way God made it, then that sweet spot took a creation of so many different things to get to that one sweet spot. And in God's omnipotence became a person of creation rather than a person of maintaining. I want to say we had this idea that creation was just, oh, I believe it, thought it, and make it. No, if you look at human beings, we create things by testing and trial and error. And that's why I said moment of creation is part of failure, most of failure, and then maybe a small fraction of success. you'll have 80% failure and 20% success in most people's lives. Not counting the Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, these people who have constant success after success after success in their life. They are the minority when it comes to success in most people's world. In most people's world, we have only a minute form of success in our life, but we have a lot of failure that we have to poke through to get to that success. But through that success, we learn from our failures and we do things differently and we become, not crazy, because that fine line between genius and insanity is, are you doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Then you're no longer a genius if you're doing that. You're insane. But if you're doing the same thing over and then adding something in it to change it, to and looking at your results and figuring out ways you can change it, then you are maintaining a level of genius in your life. And and that actually puts you in an ideal, like Marky Boy said, the millionaires who get to that point, try things, fail. Okay, well, maybe I'll try something different. As Edison said, he didn't have a million failures. He had a million ways where he figured out how to make a light bulb. He figured out how to make it work. All those times, all those thousands, I think it was thousands of failures. I don't know exactly, but it wasn't failures to him. It was successes for him throughout the whole time. So keep pushing. Some people, I hear people out there downing people for trying hard. I hear that all the time in gaming. I probably have been a try hard myself. I think we've all been a try hard, but a try hard eventually becomes a hard a hard player. I didn't want to say the wrong thing, but no, I mean, teens know more bad words than I do. A hard ass. A try hard is the one you find out 5 years later is the one that you try to beat. I mean, be honest with you, Ninja was a try hard at one point. And now Ninja is at top of his game in the game. You know what I mean? He won the championship. He won the money. You had to be a try hard to get to the next level. All these people who have been the most successful in the world, they tried really hard to be the most successful in the world. And they try really hard each and every day to get there. They practice each and every day. They keep honing their skills each and every day. And they devote their lives to their dreams. A try hard devotes their lives to what they're doing. They keep trying until they make it work. They surround themselves with their work. They make sure their work, their world, their place, their value is all within their world of being what they want to be. Oh yeah, and I did want to talk about that today. Unfortunately, that was right before I came on the broadcast. I got that message of how Kobe Bryant passed away in a helicopter crash. So if you haven't seen that news yet, please check that out. Kobe Bryant was up in a helicopter with a few people. They haven't released the destination or released all the facts of how the helicopter crash happened, but he was up in the helicopter crash and something failed. I mean, a helicopter and something failed, and him and all those in the helicopter passed away this morning. So let's put a shout out. I'm an LA Laker fan. He was an LA Laker almost all of his career, and he represented the Lakers to an extent. A lot of people may not have liked him. A lot of people liked him, but let's give a shout out and rest in peace and a moment of silence to Kobe Bryant, LA Laker. I thank you all out there who gave a moment of silence, and I hope you rest in peace. Because this is also a radio podcast broadcast, I did the radio moment of silence. It's not as long as we think it is. It actually is a long time when you're listening, and when you're watching or when you're hearing it over the radio, it does feel like a long time of silence. So I definitely I remember one time Kobe Bryant, see, people have rare experiences. I have to have this rare experience that I had with Kobe Bryant. One time I was on the freeway coming back from Newport Beach, and we lived in Newport Beach, not too far from Kobe Bryant. A friend of mine actually did network service for Kobe Bryant. So this is one thing about LA. You end up being in the same circles. And one day we were headed back, and he was in his Bentley with his wife. And I'm a driver, so I tend to drive on the freeway. So Kobe Bryant was driving on the freeway, and I was on the freeway with my boy. Oh man, why am I forgetting his name? It was his car, as a matter of fact, busted car that it was. And Kobe Bryant likes to drive on the freeway. So we were the only ones driving back from Newport Beach trying to get to LA fast. So we were tag teaming, double up, Frogger, playing Frogger. I like leapfrog on the freeway with cars. Kobe Bryant. And every once in a while, we'd give deuces up to Kobe Bryant. He'd look back, whatever. But, sometimes we end up in front of him. Sometimes he ends up in front of us. But that's how he kind of, I know at the first time he thought he was being followed at first. So he kind of laid back to make sure he wasn't being followed. But then when we started taking it, we were still going. He followed us and we kept going. And that's one of those experiences that you just like, man, I feel you, Kobe. We got to make it to LA in a short time. And LA is a long drive in this LA, Orange County traffic to LA, trying to go up the 405, So that's one of those experiences. And I always remember that. Remember that time. And remember a couple of other times that I've seen you actually shook your hand for a couple of other, moments out there. So, just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Whatever anybody else thought bad about you, you did do a lot for this community, for this town, for this team, for the people of Los Angeles, and for the people of NBA, who love NBA. So, rest in peace. Much love to you, Kobe. So with that being said, and I appreciate Marky Boy for, actually, it was going to be something that I talked about. Actually, it was actually going to be next. Now that I look down, I got my Kobe right here, right before I talk about number 8, which I hadn't realized I was already at that point of what I was talking about, because I already spoke about surrounding ourselves with our work. And to speak of somebody else, to speak of Kobe, he did surround himself with his work, and that's what makes the greats. That's what makes the greats, is taking that time. Jordan talks about this in his book. He talks about what it takes to be great. As a matter of fact, there's a trainer. I cannot remember his name. He actually helped train Kobe Bryant. It's one of the books I have on Audible. And I'm looking up Audible as we speak, but it's one of the books I had on Audible. And he actually helped train Jordan and a lot of other sports figures on, was it Outliers? Wasn't Outliers, was it? Oh, I can't remember. I read so many books sometimes. I got to go back, and that's why you got to go back to the books that you read, because if you don't go back to the books that you read, you forget what books that you have. And it's important to remember what books you have and remember where you get the concepts and ideas from. I don't think it's in Outliers, because Outliers was a different book and I was reading it for a different reason. Canceled. That's why I won't scroll. I believe it was, I need to look at all my books. Library. But when you look through, when you read through this book, you'll get a perspective from this particular trainer, and he trains people on how to pull out the greatness in their self. He tells them that, he tells a lot of people that they aren't actually pulling out the greatness of their self. And I find that really, really, really hard to believe when he says that, because he comes out hard on these people, and you figure these people are paying them tons of money to go to them and hear that they're not doing what they need to do to be great. Relentless, from good to great to unstoppable by Tim S. Grover. Now, Tim Grover, wow, this guy's hard. I would never want to take his course unless I was trying to be something so great that is just unstoppable. You know what I mean? And I do want to be something great that's unstoppable, but I know that I'm not there yet, and I'm preparing myself to be there, to where I can get a coach like him to say, now you need to be unstoppable. Now you need to do whatever you need, to where I can afford to pay a coach like him to make me unstoppable. And that's what Jordan says. Jordan said the reason why he's unstoppable is because he's done certain things in his life. And Tim Grover talks about how Jordan already had a plan when he came to him. Jordan had taught him so much more about making people unstoppable that he's taking these lessons and putting them out in his own lessons. And that to me tells you about the idea of surrounding yourself with your own environment and making sure that you can't help stop talking about your projects, can't stop talking about what you're doing out there. I'm always talking about what I'm doing. People get mad at me. They tripped out. All you do is promote yourself. No, I promote other things and I promote other people. I promote other books. I talk about other books. I just scrolled through, spent time finding Relentless so I can tell you about Relentless, and so I can add it to the YouTube. When we do the replay of this on YouTube, I'll add a link to Relentless on here, as well as a link to this Paul Hudson article on 10 things that truly passionate people do. That's other people. But yes, I got to promote myself in order for me to promote other people. So yes, I do. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, in order for me to talk about people like Kobe, for other people to be able to listen to what I got to say about Kobe and the experience I had with Kobe, I got to promote myself first before I even talk about the fact that he's served our area. Because if I got on and just said, oh man, Kobe, people are going to look at that and turn off. I love Kobe to death too. And he's provided for so many people out here, but we got to remember the great things that he's given us. And I feel bad that he died in such a tragic incident. He's gone too soon in my book. He's really gone too soon. There was a lot more that he could do for us. And I hope that people like LeBron James take that fact and take on and try to continue. I mean, he has, because he's worked with Warren Buffett, but try to continue some of the things that he's doing out there and make sure he puts out more and more and more before his time is up, like Nipsey Hussle, like Kobe Bryant, So, and getting back to that, continue to talk about those projects. Continue to put out those things that help change our world, help change our community, help make change in our lifestyles, because it's because of men and women and people and non-binary individuals like you out there that have been making it to the top of the charts. It's the Ellen DeGeneres, it's the Kobe Bryants, it's the LeBron Jameses, it's the Magic Johnsons, and I say that because I'm still staying in sports at this point. It's the Oprah Winfreys. It's those people out there who keep standing on top of those mountains and keep pushing those points. And it's the Jay-Z's and the Obamas who keep making sure that we're out there. And I know I'm coming from one aspect right here, and I'm not trying to, but these are the people who stand out for me. Martin Luther King's, what I mean, that stand out to me. And even though they have their own faults, like Martin Luther King had his own faults, he had his own things that he did, but it's hard when you're a person out there trying to lead thousands of people to a motherland that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? How do you lead thousands of people to a motherland that doesn't exist? You end up being like Bill Clinton and end up caught for having sex with an intern. Or being like Martin Luther King and doing the wrong thing, but at the same time, you've done so much good. The problem is when we do so much good, not letting our good get slandered by the bad that we do out there. And so we have to keep talking about those projects out there that we do that help people. Let's cover up, or not necessarily cover up, not forget the past, because if you've done something wrong in the past, like we all have done, try to remember where you came from in the past, but try to make sure that you do so much good to make up for the things that you've done wrong in the past. We've all done wrong at some point. None of us are innocent of anything. But if we can do as much good in our lives and do as much as what we believe is true and good to our hearts, then we can make change in our world, then we can make our passions come true. So it's not just about living your passion, it's doing good with your passion. And it's sharing your passion to the people out there in the world, And it also says number 9, that was number 8, can't help but talk about their projects. But number 9 tend to be either pushing ahead full throttle or completely still. One of the problems with that bipolarness, I want to say, and I'm going to say because I'm a veteran, I do have post-traumatic stress. I am a bit bipolar. And I say that because I have seen my energy go from extremes. Now, it's a matter of me maintaining that energy that keeps me from becoming bipolar. Me understanding that my energy is changing because of whatever reason that's making me tense up enough to not keep that positive mental attitude, to not keep that positive smile on my face, to not keep pushing forward and finding meaning in what I do, to see that my attitude is changing. And know that I either have to change my scenario, change my environment, change my atmosphere, or change my attitude to make the change. And if I can't change my attitude, I need to change my environment. And so these are ways you find meaning. What things can make you find meaning that make you comfortable enough to have such anxiety and stress on your shoulders to where you can relieve yourself by pushing ahead and not standing still. See, when I can't find that balance, when I can't find that forward motion, when I can't do what it takes to make the change in my life, when I can't do what it takes to make those worlds of that world of passion that surrounds me make it to the next level for me, when I can't do those things, I need to figure out what I need to do so that I don't sit still, because that's what happens. I get too frustrated. I get too overwhelmed with everything that I feel like I must do or need to do, and I end up still and motionless, and nothing gets done. There's that alternate when you're really passionate about something, you can't see it formulating into something, you will sit still. And a lot of people do sit still. I see a lot of streamers out there that said they were going to stream for ancient years and they were going to try to stream. I know we get stuck. I get stuck where I have to take a little gap and break, but I'm going to keep coming back streaming. So no matter what you hear me say, until the day I die, I'm going to keep coming back streaming. And so for those people who don't think that they should stop because they haven't seen enough guests, they haven't seen enough people watching their show, they haven't seen enough people watching their stream, don't stop because people aren't watching your stream. It's the fact that you persevere and you keep going that people will watch your stream. And that includes me. Like I said, in every episode, if I got one finger pointing at you, I got 3 fingers pointing back at me, because whatever I'm saying that you might need to do is something that I need to do as well to make it to the next level of what we are doing out here in our communities. And to warn you, as our communities grow, we'll have more access to do many things, especially when we talk about 5G. The 5G technology that we'll be working with in the future will allow us to be able to hack into each other's apartments and see everything that's going on in somebody else's apartments through heat signatures. I mean, it's so extreme. The way we can use 5G and the applications that the military and the world can use for national security, and not just that, for watching over, being Big Brother. Big Brother really takes over when 5G hits the mainstream like it really wants to at a millisecond speeds. Millisecond speeds really mean that all of our information that we've ever tried to, if you ever tried to hide anything, because I'm done hiding everything. I figured out years ago that everything's going to be on the front table. So I might as well tell them everything that I say. If it's not on the front table, then they can see me face to face and find out face to face. All right, ask me in whatever stream. But if it's not out there already, then what the heck, So the idea is that you need to have everything out there in order to be secure in living in the world that you live in, because it's about to get dangerous in the next 10 years when 6G comes out. See, 5G is coming out by 2021. Every 10 years, another generation of wireless broadcast comes out. And when 6G comes out, we'll already have cars that have been running on roads for 10 years connected to smart devices that have been driving us, that have been connected to everything. We'll have little towers in our apartment buildings, little towers in our homes connected to 5G. We'll probably have evolved a little bit more, or taking certain pills so that we can defend against the effects of 5G. And we probably will have lost a lot of people through sickness, through mental problems, because of the effects of the radio signals that'll be bouncing off of us constantly. Since the 1950s, we've been excelling radio signals. Excelling. My industry, the industry I'm in, is all about communication and how we're going to be able to use the systems. And I'm realizing that my communication, my industry is killing us as well. And as much as I love this industry, I have to realize what has happened since the 1950s with radio signals. People say that we have climate change. I believe that we do have climate change as opposed to how we've used our world. But even if you don't believe we have climate change, what we do have is one thing. We have one great thing. Thanks for the sparks there, Footlong. Thanks for the sparks. We have one thing that we do have. We have radio signals that we've been using that are actually bouncing around in our atmosphere that could actually be changing our atmosphere. Since the 1950s, we've had an increased rate of how many things in our local climates have been different. It's been hotter than normal. It's been colder than normal. It's rained more than normal. So we're going to have change. But what if that is due to the signals that we've been putting out there? Just food for thought out there. I don't want to push away because I love this industry. I love the path of the industry. I love where we can be going. But we can stand still too. And like I said, in number 9, passionate people tend to either be pursuing ahead full throttle and are completely still. I've sat completely still. Don't sit completely still. Get out there, broadcast, get your show on the road. Make sure you have whatever you're trying to put out there now. Get it out there now before you're in a world where everybody has everything out there and you can't even capitalize on the ability of being a gamer, a streamer, a broadcaster, or whatever you want to be. And then lastly, if you're really passionate or passionate people, as Paul Hudson says, 10 things that truly passionate people do differently is they always think positively about the future. I'm always thinking positively, even though, you see, as I told you in that last statement, I just had to think about that in that last statement. Instead of saying, oh, well, they're going to have access to all my information, I'm screwed, I embedded myself. If you can't beat them, join them. I embedded myself into the information system so that I can enjoy the information system and try to learn how to survive myself in it, because it's inevitable. We have a point in our lives where our governments have fought for this for years, and the United States government and the Canadian government have pushed past the legal limits, past the health limits of radio broadcast signals. Our signals that we use are so far extended past the signal that causes any health effects. No, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it, but actually continue to use the signals that are here for us and continue to move forward and figure out how we can survive through them and figure out what we need to do to protect ourselves. So I'm going to be looking into security specialists, and I'm trying to get my boy who's a security specialist right now, try to get him on our show and try to get him doing some broadcast about how you can protect yourself, not only in active shooter zones, not only in privacy zones, not only in hacking zones, but also how you can protect yourself in home security and how you can protect yourself in business security. So stay tuned for that soon. But that's pretty much it, folks. If you really want to know how to keep a positive mental attitude, you got to be able to find meaning in what you do. And that is the secret. Like I said before, that is the secret to PMA. And that secret is being passionate about what you do. And if you're passionate about what you do, you love what you do, you make it happen, no matter what happens to you, even if you don't continue to be here. See, even Kobe Bryant is making it happen, even though he's no longer with us anymore, because the things he set up will continue to help others who are just as passionate about the sport, other young students coming up, kids who have come out of school, kids who are going to college. People will look up to what he's done out there and the things that he's done and try to be just like him in the future. So remember that. We live a path to making a legacy for those around us in our community. Be that legacy for your community. This is Doc Rio. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you all for coming out. Marky Boy, Footlong, and anybody else. I didn't look to see who was coming in to see how many people were coming in, because I wanted to make sure I was able to see people's chat this time and not miss out on chat. So I only got one screen up when it comes to that. My other screen is set on the Mixer broadcast. So when I do in the future get that computer setup that I'm building. Like I said, I'm building that computer, starting up, got parts. I'm leaving that power supply wrapped up in its case until the rest of the computer is here. And then you won't see that power supply anymore. So that's the sign that I have the computer ready. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I'm going to look at, through the data I've collected. Like I said, one of the things you want to do in the 12 steps to multimedia success and being able to broadcast your stuff and being able to put your stuff out there is do research. So I'll need to research the data and the numbers to see what's next on the agenda. And I'll be bringing that to you all soon. I hope you enjoyed the show one more time. Have a great time this Sunday evening. I said Saturday. I don't know why. Have a great time this Sunday evening. And I hope, like I said, I hope you keep a positive mental attitude out there. Stay strong, stay positive, and be passionate. That's really the best way for us to keep going and do what our dreams want us to do. Stay tuned for more in the Hot Box with Doc Rio as I come back real soon next week. Same time, same station. This is Doc. I'm out of here. Peace. There it is. If you need to reach us on Facebook, it's at doc.rio, yeah. On Twitter at Doc Rio Rants. On Instagram, the picture way. And every time I come, I'm here to stay. Snapping photos and get it right. It's at Doc Rio tonight. Say, on YouTube, you can't stop. By Doc Rio TV. That's where you see me. That's where you see me. Hit us up on Rio Bucks. .com. Yeah. Back to your regularly scheduled program now. Peace. I'm out. Doc Real TV.